Greetings, 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 everyone. It is your favorite uncle coming to you live on Sunday. It is Memorial Day weekend, and I can't think of anything better to do than to connect with all of you. So those of you in the chat, welcome. Those who watch later, I hope you had a great weekend. We're doing this on a Sunday, which we never do these on a Sunday, just because we have an amazingly special guest who has a very interesting backstory and a very interesting point of view on what the best kept secret in crypto is. With me today is, of course, founder Max Freeman, Epic Cash founder Max Freeman, and Mike Mumola, who will soon be appearing on New to the Street. Very excited about that, Mike, your interview, and good luck with that. Or I mean, I should say good skill, because you're gonna kick it in the teeth. And and this handsome man right here, Chris Champion, we're gonna get to him in a bit, because this is like a slow boil, this show today. There's some backstory that I kind of want to set the table before we go into a full discussion with Chris. I want that discussion to start with you, Mr. Mumola, and you are the one who introduced Epic Cash and specifically Max Freeman to Mars Callahan. So that's the tee up I'm giving you. Go for it, because you know how it all comes together.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. So as most people know, we had been doing some amazing things with Epic, and I had simultaneously been working with Mars on some incredible projects. And the two just started getting closer in terms of philosophy and opportunity. And so at one point made the introduction, and it was, the word that Mars used, I think, was like brothers separated at birth between he and Max, and fireworks ensued, and the rest was history, and Trillions was culminated, and it's been great. And so from that, Mars obviously continues to do what he does, which is finding the best in the world at doing what they do. And along comes this gentleman who's on with us now, and we started having some conversations, and I'll leave the rest for Max and Chris to lay out, but that's what brought us to where we are today, and it's extremely exciting. So, hey, Chris, and hey, Max.
Hello. So real quick before you go, Mike, based upon your rich experience and relationship with Mars, whenever he takes on a new project, when he's co-writing Trillions, what is the most important thing to him from subject matter expertise?
Yeah, it's finding the best. And I think, that was what he talked about when we walked away from the conversation with Max. And then as he met Chris, he was just, when I spoke to him about it, he said, you're not going to believe this. Wait until you meet this person who I met and what he's up to and what he's doing. And since then, it's been very, very clear that between the conversations that Chris and Max are having, this is something I believe bigger than any of us could choreograph. There's something really amazing happening.
Yeah. Max, welcome to the show. How are you today? Thank you for getting up early.
Just had to go off mute. Wonderful to be here.
Good. Well, Max, why don't I go to you next and just say you got a phone call from Mars saying that he'd like to introduce you to somebody, and you went to lunch, right? Can you?
Yeah. It was actually dinner. So yeah, so we met for dinner. Actually, Mars and I were meeting for a few hours over at the Wynn Casino, and he said, "You know what? I know a guy that you have to talk to." So he called Chris, and he came over, and then we had about a 2-3 hour dinner. And I'll let Chris tell the story, but basically it was like you with the shitcoin trial. I mean, from the get-go, it was just kind of like, all right, the assumption is that that this is a bunch of hot air, and let's poke holes in it and find the flaws. And very quickly it became, oh wow, okay, I guess this is not like the thousands of other garbagey, propositions that I get pitched with. And the rest is history. What I probably chatted with good old Chris here, I don't know, like 6 hours or something since then. So it's been definitely where have you been all my life type of chemistry, at least from my side.
Well, Chris, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. And would you mind just giving a little bit of a backstory? And I'm specifically interested in your crypto experience and when you got involved and just that entire point of view.
Sure. So a friend of mine back in 2013, I don't know if you guys remember back in the old days, there was a chat called IRC. Does anyone remember IRC from back in the day?
I do not.
I'm sorry, who said that?
I do.
All right, good. So like usually when I bring up IRC, people are like, get a lot of crickets and dead air. They're like, what? IRC was the first chat box out there. And then ultimately, I think AOL acquired them and it became part of AOL Online. And we were on IRC and he's in Israel. He's a gamer. He's always asking me for World of Warcraft gold or having him, helping him get that. We were using PayPal and stuff. And one day he blows me up and he's like, listen, dude, you gotta get into Bitcoin. You gotta get into this Bitcoin. This Bitcoin's awesome. Bitcoin. Like, dude, I get it. It's cool. And because he's a gamer, I'm thinking it's some like gaming token that, gets you gaming stuff in World of Warcraft. So I wasn't that into World of Warcraft, but he was. And literally every day for like a week and a half, you got to buy some Bitcoin. You got to get some Bitcoin. You got to get some. I'm like, dude, shut up. God, what are you doing? And so finally, I tell him, listen, I'll give you $10 in PayPal. I'll buy some of this fucking Bitcoin, but you got to shut up after that. And I set up a QT wallet. I don't know if you guys remember back in the day, QT wallets. Remember that at all?
Not me.
Yeah.
All right. Just to let you know, all the fancy wallets that we have on mobile now, QT was the first rudimentary wallet that you could download to your Macintosh or your Apple or they had it for PC also.
Mm-hmm.
It was god awful horrific. It was the most horrific user experience you could ever have. But I downloaded it and I bought $100 worth of Bitcoin and at a ridiculously small price. And then I put it in the QT wallet and didn't even think about it for a year and a half. And a year and a half later, I remember I'm walking in my bedroom past my TV and all of a sudden I hear CNBC. The girl's like, oh, and today in little known cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, it reached an all-time high of $161. I'm like, motherfucker, what? And I realized like I had a lot of those Bitcoins, but I had it on an old laptop, my old laptop that I had the QT wallet on. So I pull up with this old laptop, I plug it in, get the power started, find the wallet, and I'm like, what the fuck? Now myself, okay, how do I fucking turn this shit into real money? And I used an exchange called Mt. Gox back in the day and able to get a bank wire. And I was like, holy fuck, that just happened. And it just was one of those epiphanies that I said, if this thing works, if this thing actually works, this could be the future of money. And I literally thought of it as the future of money. Mm-hmm. Now, I think that politicians are the worst thing that ever happened to money. They're corrupt. They're evil to their core. Most of them. We can just take Rand Paul and his father out of that equation. But I think at the end of the day, you should separate money from politicians' political decisions. And it should be the people's money, not the government's money. We live in a world today where money is the government's money. It's never your money. They just let you think that it's your money. You could be a billionaire that owns a yacht and the government will take your yacht away and remind you that it was never your money and never your yacht. And so, I thought to myself, if this fucking works, this is going to change everything. This is literally going to change everything. So I got huge into Bitcoin. I literally did everything I could to learn about it. I got I went to every Bitcoin event. I literally flew all over the country, and it became a life changer for me, a total life changer. And that was 2014, and then 2017 happened, and all of a sudden, people that thought I was crazy realized, holy fuck, he's crazy like a motherfucking fox. That's what he is. I literally had like so many people reaching out to me. Hey, remember that Bitcoin stuff you've been talking about? That I saw it. That shit's like up. It's like going to the moon. I'm like, I'll be honest with you, it's going to the moon, and I'm along for the ride, and you can too. And I started throwing dinners, and just started becoming an evangelist. And now, I've literally get, no joke, probably 5 new projects a week that reach out to me. By the way, well, a big shout out to all the fucking spammers on Instagram that spam me with new projects. Go fuck yourselves very much. Thank you. And, but at the end of the day, I went to the meeting with Max with a large amount of skepticism, because you have to in this space, because so many gurus and new product geniuses and all these and they literally, every single one of them, almost like 80 to 90% of the time, turn out to be fucking walking toolboxes. And so like Mars is like, you got to come to this dinner, you got to meet this guy Max, you got to come to this dinner. I'm like, fuck, Jesus, Mars. And he's like, no, it's not like that. You got to meet this guy. I'm like, I swear to fucking God, Marcus, I'm gonna embarrass you in front of this guy. I'm gonna rip him to shreds. He's gonna fucking come up with some bullshit story that I'm gonna fucking debunk within 3 seconds, and then you're gonna fucking be mad at me because I fucking made your friend cry. So I get to the win, and Mars playing a 2-5 poker game, which he should never play. He should play at a higher stakes game. And he's just abusing the table, and I'm having a little bit of fun chitter chattering in. And I'm like, listen, motherfucker, grab your chips, let's go. And he's winning another hand and another hand. I'm like, dude, I'm not here to watch you play poker. We're either going to grab dinner or we're going to get the fuck out of here. He's like, all right, 2 more hands. So we finally sit down, we had dinner, and Max is off to my right, and we're talking on our way to the dinner place. And he's talking, and I'm like, yeah, motherfucker, just open that mouth. Let me hear you say something stupid that I could just debunk the fuck out. And all of a sudden, he's like, hey, this? And I'm like, well, not really, but that I've heard of it. And he's like, starts, really explaining it well. And another thing he talks about, and I'm like, oh, motherfucker, this guy's smarter than me. This is going to be embarrassing. We sit down, and we got like, I think some Asian Russian, Wahoo or Wazoo or something. And, we start getting some water, and, I ask him a few more questions, and Max starts showcasing his intelligence. I'm like, fuck this shit. I came to a fucking ambush. I'm going to be the idiot looking like an idiot. And he's, all of a sudden, Max just literally showcased years, and I'm talking a good solid, probably 5 to 6 years of his life going down the rabbit hole, but not just going down it, really tearing apart and understanding crypto from an ideological standpoint, not just a technical standpoint, but an ideological standpoint. And that's something that very few people in the space do. The ideology of money and the crossroads between money and crypto, the understanding of those ideologies are rare that you find somebody on a high level talking about. The Max is motherfucking talking. I look at Mars after about 30 minutes of stealing food off the table and eating with these 2 guys, and I'm like, motherfucker, this guy's one smart motherfucker. Way to go. And we've spent time over the last, I don't know, week or 2 weeks, just peeling away layers of information. And I literally almost have to tell him to stop every now and then. I'm like, yo, motherfucker, let's just focus on the shit that's right here. He's like, no, I got 12 other things I want to talk about. Fuck, I got to delete shit like memories of my childhood just to remember all this shit. I think slowly uncovered is there's a hidden gem here. There's a game changer here. There's a real game changer here. The code is, if I'm telling, now I have to preface this. If the code works, and that's always the key with every project, shout out to all my friends at Luna. If the code works, Epic is going to be a game changer, not just in the crypto space, but in the global money space. And that's really more important than any crypto project has ever tried to do. You got projects like Cardano, shout out to the piece of shit organization that shit is. Want to be the next best smart contract platform. Or you got the next big stable coin, Luna. Shout out to that group of idiots. That they want to be the next big stable coin. Well, Epic wants to change money. And it's got so many pieces of the puzzle, because money is not one piece of the puzzle. Money is not just a trusted instrument that can be borderless and private and secure and all these things. Money has many pieces of the puzzle. And the organizational level of documentation that I've seen is so well thought out and put together on Epic that it has a chance. It has a chance. There's no guarantees in life, but it has a chance to change what money is on a global basis better than Bitcoin. And Bitcoin has done that and then some in its 12 years. Shout out to my buddy Satoshi. Whatever rock you're hiding from, don't worry about it, because they'll have a new target in a couple of years. It's going to be Max.
That's why he never shows his face.
They'll stop looking for. Yeah, trust me, they'll find your face. Like Newsweek's and somebody right to your door, pretty much. Pretty soon, knocking. Some pretty little girl's going to come up there. Are you Max Satoshi Nakamoto?
Well, I Chris, I always told people after I conducted these shitcoin trials, because I participated in a couple of pump and dumps where the one who was dumped on was me. And I'm like, look, when you invest in these services and let other people, tell you what to think, I didn't know that you're buying into their cell walls. And so finally I was over it. So I decided that I have to learn what are the right questions to ask to determine what an investable coin is. So I put out to the universe that any leader of any project specifically related to privacy, which was of my interest, you can come on my show and I'm going to be wearing a wig. I'm going to have my gavel and I'm going to declare you a shit coin at the beginning, guilty. And within, you have 45 minutes to convince me otherwise. So Max came on and I was just in my role, shit coin. And within like 10 minutes, maybe 15, I took off the wig, threw down my gavel, and I'm like, I bring out my notebook and I go into student mode. That went from a 45-minute show to we spent 2.5 hours to where he basically, I know what you're going through. You have to take the processor out of your brain and install one that has more capacity, because it just blows you away. So
yeah, that Max, by the way, that motherfucker never shuts up anyhow. I can see how you spent 2.5 hours talking to him.
That's true. Max, tell him what I gave you in Miami in January.
What did you give? Oh, yeah. He gave me these little hourglasses
that you turn over that give him
like two minutes.
2-minute egg timers.
Yeah, I keep one on my nightstand.
Never use them when we talk. I can tell you that.
It's so funny. Right before this, the live stream, I sent him a message. I said, remember now, Chris is our guest. We want Chris to be able to talk. Just my little reminder.
It's not even that he dominates the conversation. It's the fact that he has so much deep knowledge that he connects all the knowledge. So literally,
that's the amazing thing.
It literally connects all the knowledge together. And whether it's referencing a well-written book that aligns well with the concept of money, which a lot of people don't understand the concept, the basic core concepts of money. And when you understand the concept of money, and then you understand the concept of giving the people back their money, because let's understand this, the Federal Reserve is not the American people. It is a third-party corporation run by evil motherfuckers. And the U.S. dollar is not the people's money. It is money controlled by government and politicians. And anytime politicians control anything, they find a way to fuck that up. So for the first time, the people now have their own money. And that is, for lack of a better word, cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. And it could be that we're looking at the early stages of Epic becoming what I consider the Google of crypto. And I'll tell you why I use the word Google. If you remember back in the search engine days, you had Yahoo and Alta Vista and all these search engines. They jumped out of the gates, and there's like 20 of them, but Yahoo was like the lead dog, and everyone's like, oh, you know, this is like, nobody's going to catch them. They're the best search engine out there, blah, 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 blah. Bingo, out comes Google, better algorithm, faster search results, bing, 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 checks all the boxes. Google now is the fucking monster in the middle of the room. And how did they come up and pass all these other search engines? Better technology, well, you know, better written. Well, I've always said Bitcoin will be the cryptocurrency that changed the game for everybody, but somebody will build a better Bitcoin. Somebody will build something better. And from everything I'm seeing right now, that somebody is Epic. And Epic has the right roadmap and the right plan and the right documentation and the right code from everything I see. Now, they're missing a lot of pieces, a mobile wallet and some code and some tools and awareness, just like anything in the early stages. But if Epic executes, which it should, if Epic executes, we're literally going to watch the beginning of something special for the people's money. And I keep referring to it as the people's money because the people need their own money. The people need money that the government can't control. The people need money that is going to literally stand stronger than the government's money, because the government's money will always dissipate in value because we get politicians that are literally destroying the value of the US dollar by stealing money from the people and printing money aimlessly like they think it's a monopoly game. Shout out to Nancy Pelosi, who's literally the city in politics. In fact, all those politicians in Washington, they have the economic brain cells of a mosquito.
Well, Chris,
way that's not a criticism to the mosquito.
Well, Chris, I admire the fact that you've been able to download so much in 2 weeks. It's taken me over a year of reporting on it to understand this page, which and understanding from Max and Todd Lewis that before they launched the project, they had war gamed out what is superior money. So on Wednesday mornings, Todd Lewis and now Max and I were talking about this comparative chart. But first they went through and they looked, gosh, I think there's like 33, 34 qualities here. But of if you could magically create superior money, what are the qualities that they must have? I'm just going to go through these really quickly and ask you if we're missing anything. Please let me know, or if you think something's here that shouldn't be. But means of payment, open to everyone. Medium of exchange, unit of account, must be immutable, borderless, neutral, censorship resistant, store of value, scarce, durable, inflation resistant, decentralized, fair launch, independent governance, portability, mobility, publicly verifiable on network, trustless, divisible, digital, regulation friendly, available to the unbanked, fungible, quantum future-proofed, surveillance resistant, survivable with multi-algo mining, permissionless, scalable and fast, eco-friendly, confiscation resistance, widespread acceptance, and then there's another means of payment, but that is the restricted piece, and then private by default. I don't know if you've participated with any other coin or project that have gone to that depth of thinking of before launching the blockchain of saying we have to account for this, and this. Thoughts?
Yeah, like I said, the documentation and the work that I've seen done on Epic, it is second to none. Like, it is hats off to Max and his documentation skills and the team that's really collaborated on some of your documentation, because the documentation on Epic is literally second to none. Now, there's one thing that I would tell you is missing from that superior money list.
Okay, thank you.
It's actually pretty important. As you start realizing money and its role in society, money is the reason why countries go to war. Money is the reason why small countries stay small, because they're stuck on certain money principles, like the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. Shout out to those scumbag criminals. And the one thing that money has to be is political resistant.
Oh,
It has to be independent of politicians. It has to be at arm's length of politicians. Politicians should never be able to touch the people's money.
oh, that is brilliant.
Are able to touch your money and print more of it, or confiscate it, or steal it, or use it, for example, to freeze the money in the SWIFT system from one country being able to use money as a tool because they're at war with each other. When money is political resistant and it's the people's money, that it's literally independent of all the politics out in the world. That's when money, it's just truly this independent, arbitrary thing. If you think about it, back in the day when gold shillings were used as a form of currency, and people would literally throw gold at a guy to buy a goat or to buy a new scarf or whatever. At the end of the day, that gold was politically resistant. Gold shilling, and you had a goat, and I gave you the gold shilling, and you gave me the goat. Well, there's no politician that's going to affect the value of that transaction. They're not going to confiscate my gold shilling before you get the gold shilling and the goat comes to me. And that's what money has to become again. It has to become the people's money. And what politicians have done globally is they've deformed all forms of money. Look out at Maduro down in Venezuela. The country 10 years ago was a very rich country. They did very well. They had oil, they had assets. Along come these politicians, these socialist scumbags, and they destroyed their own local currency, so much so that the people would rather turn their paper currency into origami because it has no other use case.
Yeah, unbelievable.
And now, who did that? Well, politicians. And if you had to look at a politician like an animal, they're almost like a hyena. They're a giggling parasite that literally looks to feed on the carcasses of people inside the wild. Well, politicians, just like hyenas, should never be allowed to touch the overall money system. But they are. And not only do they touch the money system, but they abuse it for their own personal benefits. They are never selfless. They are never thinking of the overall benefit of mankind. They're always thinking about Nancy Pelosi's stock account, or they're always thinking of some politician's personal interests and how can they steal more money through the system by having their son be on the board of a Ukrainian oil company. At the end of the day, money has to be the people's money. Money has to be at arm's length from politicians. Money has to be resistant to political theater or political war. Money has to be that independent tool that everybody, irregardless of who you think they are, has access to. People sometimes want to control what kind of people have access to certain things because, we live in a society where people want to censor somebody because of their views or their beliefs. Regardless of somebody's views or beliefs, somebody's a raging left liberal or another person's a raging right liberal, politically correct or incorrect person. Whatever they are, they can be in the middle. They can be whatever their beliefs are. Money should have the same value and efficiency for everybody on the planet. It should be the people's money, and the people should control their own money. And when the people take control of the money system, when people take control of money again, that's when money becomes superior again. That's all of a sudden people will enjoy the benefits of money, because right now you're watching in America the disaster of printing. I think it's 40% or 60% of every US dollar that's in circulation.
80.
Okay, so 80. You're watching the disaster of letting these idiot politicians destroy the people's money to the point where the people are now paying insane prices for gasoline, going out to eat, food. My buddy owns a bunch of restaurants. His food costs,
Jeez.
his labor costs, his transportation costs have gone up so much so that he has to shut down. He went from 14 down to 4 restaurants.
Oh,
and,
no.
and if you look at that, who is the reason behind all of that? Idiot politicians. They should never be allowed to touch the people's money, because the people ultimately suffer when decisions by a few are made that destroy the money that is used by everyone. And that's the thing. When you look at that list of what makes superior money superior, it has to be politically resistant. It has to be
putting that at the top of the list. Thank you.
It has to be resistant to politicians. It has to be resistant to political instances. You know, 2 countries go to war with each other. Money shouldn't be at the middle of that war. It shouldn't be a digital war. But we're starting to see that now. And we're starting to see where citizens of Russia, they're not the ones that invaded Russia. They're just citizens of the country.
That's right.
One country, the United States, confiscate their yachts, billion-dollar soccer teams, homes. When you start seeing that, you start realizing the US dollar is political. Money should be apolitical. Money should just be the people's money. It should be a tool that is used to create commerce or to transact and move wealth.
This is so clarifying for me. Thank you for that, because I've never thought of it that way. And it's totally right on point. Max, I need you to square a circle for me, though. Adding politically resistant to this list, how can you do that and yet maintain being regulation friendly? Isn't that what we have here?
Yeah, so regulation friendly is about designing the parameters of our setup as we did to be compatible with the dictates that they've given before. So they set out, whether we like them or not, they set out the rules of the road, and so we had to design within that. We probably spent about 10 times the effort on the legal side versus the engineering side. I always say tech is easy, regulation is hard. So that's more a function of what we created and how it exists relative to the regulatory landscape. The resistant to political forces is making sure, excuse me, that our social layer around the code, loosely bracketed, let's call that the governance bucket, is beyond the machinations of man. So in our white paper, we didn't promise anything. All we did was say, here is the system as it exists. This is a description of what we built. We did it exactly as Satoshi did. And in that, one of the very few promises we made was immutability. We said, we're never going off of 21 million. We're never going off of proof of work. And also, crucially, in the Epic protocol itself, it is governance free. Governance minimization is a very important thing. And so if we had included any mechanisms in there to allow political control, whether that's from the Epic community and ECR token holders, or some of these back doors. Do Kwon was bragging about how we can shut down the system within 24 hours if he needs to, and they were able to exit before it blew up. We deliberately didn't leave ourselves any scope for that type of stuff, because if you look at the US Constitution, here we are 250 years later, and go, how in the world did we get here? Well, you can trace those early steps on the road to perdition way back when. And so thankfully we were able to study everything that's come before, not just within crypto, but within geopolitics and money over the generations, and integrate it into the design here.
So regulation friendly is in the rear view mirror. You spent the legal time up front so that when you launched it, ultimately it would be a defensive design where one day someone from the SEC wouldn't come up and tap you on the shoulder if they could and say you are a security. Do I have that right?
Yeah, so there's something called the Crypto Rating Council scorecard, and they basically they give positive points for things that make you more security-like. It's very rarely black or white. The SEC said, okay, many years ago, Bitcoin is not a security. Here's why. Ether began life as an illegal securities offering, but now it's sufficiently decentralized, and so we're going to say that it's not a security, and now it's heading more in that direction based on the actions that they've taken. So the CRC scorecard gives you positive points if you're more like a security and negative points if you're less like a security. And I don't know the scores offhand, but I think you can get like a couple hundred points and still be pretty safe. Our three core assets, Epic, ECR, and EUSD, score between negative 115 and negative 155. We literally scored off the charts. We had no things that made us security like, and we got extra credit basically for the things that make us not security like. And so we feel really comfortable with our positioning relative to everything else out there on that front. And it means that we can really sleep at night because there will be thousands of other softer targets to go after. So yeah, that's something I'm particularly very proud of.
Hey, Chris, I have a
Max, you know, too comfortable sleeping at night. They will always target that which they cannot control, just so you're aware.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Uncle can attest. Defensive design and a paranoia first mindset is pretty inherent in everything we do. I mean, I think the stablecoin example is a great one. We call it a crypto dollar rather than a stablecoin, and really try to be sensitive to that. I actually think.
Let's be honest. It was never; these things were never stable coins, and that's the thing that from day one. And I'm not saying Luna. They all say that they're stable coins. They're not. They're not. There's nothing stable about the coin. It just fluctuates in value on a minute by minute basis. And it always made me laugh when I heard the word stablecoin. There's not this. It's a bad term. It was a pure marketing ploy to call these cryptocurrencies stablecoins. That said, a crypto dollar, that's a good term. That basically is saying, hey, this is not maybe stable, but it's a crypto dollar. It's as close to stable as you're going to get.
Chris, I have a question for you. A while back, maybe 6 months ago, Max, Mike Mumola, another gentleman, yoga dude, they were invited on a show that really kind of became a full frontal assault of, there were several Bitcoin maxis that were there. And originally it was just going to be an interview with Max to where a Bitcoin maxi was going to give him some time. But before Max got on, he called his buddies, and it ended up like the Brady Bunch, if you can imagine. and it was just a full-on onslaught that ultimately I think became very embarrassing to them because of how they behaved so unprofessionally. You
what
have
show?
What was that?
What show was this?
Mike, do you remember?
This was Jason Williams and American Hodl.
Oh man, Jason! I love Jason. Jason's a good guy.
He's an awesome guy, but
yeah. Well, I mean, Jason's not exactly a Bitcoin maxi, even though he likes to say he is. I mean, he's involved in a variety of other crypto projects.
Sure.
So, you know, you can't really go around preaching that you're one thing when you're not. But I love Jason. Jason's a good guy.
What's the difference between? My question is, what is the difference between you and others who just seem to want to look at us and say, "What's your market cap?" and then just kind of LOL. Very immaturely, just like they just slammed Team Epic, and it was really, people who are watching, you know, just our jaws were dropping, and it was just abuse, absolute abuse.
Yeah, listen, there's some people out there that are fully committed to Bitcoin. They've drank the Kool-Aid. They've gone to the supper clubs and, you know, drank the the sliced up goat milk and blood and whatever. There's some people that take Bitcoin as a religious experience.
Okay.
That's okay, because that was necessary for Bitcoin to get where it is today.
Hmm.
You need to have some people that were just absolutely religiously committed to Bitcoin. And what they're really committed to, if they really think about it, is they're committed to the people's money. They're committed to freedom. They're committed to the things that are inherently all what Bitcoin is a part of.
Correct.
But they also have to be understanding that technology always evolves into something better. If you've been in software as long as I've been in, whatever software was written in 1970, that software very quickly became obsolete because somebody wrote something better that did something better than that.
Mm-hmm.
And in 1980, somebody wrote something better that did something better than that. In 1990, 1991, and now software is actually speeding up. It's getting better, faster, because there's more people in the world working together to solve global problems. Well, sad to say, that's also going to happen to Bitcoin. While Bitcoin has this incredible blockchain and never gone down, and everything that a Max stands on, they're 100% correct. But what they're not understanding is there's always going to be better software. Somebody's going to build a better Bitcoin because Bitcoin has inherent flaws. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that it's bad, because Bitcoin changed the world as we know it. What Satoshi Nakamoto did, and Jeff Garzik, and all the core developers, shout out to, oh man, I know I'm forgetting them. What was, oh my God, the guy at Samson Mao's buddy. Oh my God. I feel bad, buddy. I know you're going to like send me a message and say, how the fuck did you forget my name? Long story short, there's been some amazing individuals.
Yeah.
Taking Bitcoin from a white paper idea and thought to a global changing currency, cryptocurrency, that is giving people back their own power. Now you look at what's happening in El Salvador. Not only is El Salvador becoming more independent and financially free from the IMF and becoming a better, stronger country under the rule of their current president. By the way, the guy's doing a great job. He invited 44 other third world countries to El Salvador this last week. And now he's teaching them how to become independent of government controlled, politically owned US dollars. And as more and more countries, small countries, become independent and stronger financially, people are going to understand that it's time to take back your money. It's time to take back control of the money, give it back to the people. And when that happens, we're going to see a revolution like we've never seen before.
Mm-hmm. I love that. It's time to take back your money, as I am wont to do. I take a lot of notes when I'm with smart guests like you. I liked your Google analogy earlier, and as Mike knows, he's going to be on New to the Street. It's going to be about a 7-8 minute segment where he's going to be interviewed about Epic Cash, and so we're working on a general outline on what to say and how to present it. And I just want to kind of I want to read one paragraph to you because it I think, you know, we were reading each other's minds, or I was reading yours this morning. I said, well, as with many first movers, kings of the hill tend to discount smaller competitors that adopt and leverage advanced tech. Many kings ignore the little engines that think they can, to their own demise and dethroning. AOL, meet Google. Xerox, meet Apple. MySpace, meet Facebook. In today's crypto landscape, it's Bitcoin, meet Epic Cash. Would you agree with that?
I absolutely agree with it. And I'll even take it one step further. One of the greatest stories in the history of mankind is the story of Genghis Khan.
Okay.
And Genghis Khan created the greatest army. In fact, it was believed at one time that Genghis Khan controlled the world. Now, whether he controlled the world or the Western world, that's a different story. That's geography. But what he did was he literally created such a massive army of people that there was no one power, no matter how superior they were, that could take him on, because the story and the sheer force of numbers that Genghis Khan controlled
Mm.
allowed people to be part of his army, allowed the people to build this massive army. And that's what's happening in the crypto space right now. That's what Bitcoin started, is it started giving people the ability to connect with each other through a blockchain. It allowed people to control their own money through a blockchain. And it allowed people to connect outside of the government, away from the government, and privately do business with their own money. And it gave people back the power of their own money. Now, Bitcoin is still at its early adoption rate. Maybe 1% or 2% of the world uses Bitcoin. But what's happening is there's a movement where people are starting to understand the benefits of controlling your own money, the benefits of having control of your own wealth, your own digital wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happens, you're going to see projects like Epic come along and give the people back their money in a more superior method, something that's more well thought out. Not that Bitcoin isn't not well thought out. And by the way, Bitcoin's like a big Titanic ship.
Yeah.
It's hard for Bitcoin at these stages to make massive turns in the water. It's a big ship.
Yep.
Epic, it's this little fucking speedboat, man. It's this little race boat. And, Max is out there. He's behind the wheel. And you're out at the front showing you're off your fucking bathing suit. And, Momola's out there. He's got a bunch of bitches out next to him. And he's hanging out with the bikini girls. A little speedboat, he wants to turn left or right. That shit can turn left or right in a heartbeat. Whereas Bitcoin, this is like the fucking Titanic, man. You want to turn left, it takes you a year just to fucking make a minor turn. Well, that's because it's such a big project that adjustments in code and design take a long time to happen.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, all of this is moving towards one thing, and that is giving people back control of their money.
I love that perspective. And community members who are in here in the chat, you are the people. So I actually got goosebumps when you were talking about that, because it was like when you were talking about Genghis Khan. And, the difference is, I think his strategy was all of those people he controlled, I believe he gave that he was actually their father. I heard he got around that Genghis. That was his strategy. I'll just create a bigger populace.
Well, here's the other fun about Genghis Khan is they think of him as this big giant of a man who controlled armies of people and was just feared by so many. The guy was 5'6".
Was he really? Oh my God. I didn't know that. Oh, that's cool. That's I grew beyond 5'6", and that's got to be the only reason why I'm not running the world right now. But we digress. So now tell us a little bit about a project you're working on, and you have a something coming up right around the corner.
So in 2017, I threw a dinner for the crypto space just to give back to people. It was during CES here in Vegas. And sure as shit, about 65 people showed up at a restaurant. We had a great time. We took some videos. We shared some stories. And people just asked me, like, hey, when's the next crypto dinner? I'm like, yo, motherfucker, put this out of the goodness of my heart. And I started realizing that the industry needs the ability to break bread with each other.
Ooh,
there's good that happens when you put people in a room and you put food in front of each other and you just sit and talk next to each other. And there's something about that breaking of bread. There's something about listening to a speaker speak. You go to an event and somebody's on stage talking. If you ever look at the crowd, I'd say 80 to 90% of the people are on their phone, checking Insta, Facebook, Telegram, Twitter, chat graph. And they're not paying attention to the speaker. Well, you put food in front of people and you stick something in their mouth, they only got one choice. They can listen to the speaker. So the content gets distributed better. And I've been throwing these dinners that did over 134 of them just in the last 5 years. Just threw 2 in Miami. Shout out to Michael Saylor, who came. We literally have amazing speakers. We rented out the NASDAQ. We've thrown them in Singapore with CZ from Binance a couple of times. And I think the opportunity for people to connect with people in the space that are doing and building things that are amazing, and also do it over a meal. You give people the ability to come to a crypto dinner club event. They not only walk away with relationships, they walk away with true knowledge. They learn something at that event that they could take with them because they were able to listen to the speaker. They were able to listen to the message.
It's amazing.
And we're doing one down in Austin to kick off Consensus on June 8th. And we've rented out an entire sports bar, and from 1 to 3 in the afternoon, we're going to be showing the first 2 episodes of The Count, which is the first Hollywood series that is going to be backed by a DAO. And it's a $50.8 million DAO that will finish out the other 7 episodes to make the series first season 1 complete. Well written, great actors, well-known actors inside of it. It's rare that you see a Hollywood production like this that has the first 3 episodes in the can.
Absolutely.
And that's like beyond rare. So the crypto industry is now going to get into Hollywood, and Hollywood's going to get into crypto, and people are going to be able to enjoy and have a part ownership of that Hollywood experience, earning royalties, going on the red carpet, going to meet and greet dinners with celebrities inside the film, meeting the director, the cast, the whole 9 yards. That full-on experience is going to be second to none for people that are that have never been in part of the Hollywood experience. The Hollywood industry is so profitable that they literally keep the production of films and movies to a very small crowd of people, and that money circulates inside of Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's time to get away from the Harvey Weinsteins and let the average Joe all own a piece of it through a DAO. And if you don't know what DAO is, decentralized autonomous organization.
I love that. And I'm curious, who happened to write The Count?
Some guy named Mars, bald-headed, smart,
big guy, golden heart, walks around, has a lot of fun with life, has a lot of fun with people, just some guy named Mars Callahan. Max, who's co-writing Trillions with you?
Mars, yeah.
Okay. So
small world.
It's
Funny
not
how that works.
It's not Mars' first rodeo, and I can understand now why, Chris, he invited you to dinner to meet Max, because he was placing a lot of faith in Max as a co-writer. And I hope everybody who joined us in the chat today on this wonderful Sunday has enjoyed this hour. Chris, we're going to wrap things up. We like to keep it to an hour, but I want to just thank you so much for the time invested and your willingness to take part of your weekend to be here. And, I'll just leave it up to you. If you have anything else you want to add, please do.
I think, like anybody, people should do their own due diligence. They should verify it all. The one thing that Satoshi has taught us all, and mostly me, verify it all. Verify it 6 times if you have to. And as I looked into Epic, and as I've gotten a chance to know you and Max and Mike, as I've started peeling away the layers of what Epic is, it is deep, and I mean deep, in value, not only in documentation, but in the people that it's attracted. High quality people tend to attract themselves to high quality projects. High quality projects tend to attract high quality people. It's just the way it works.
Yeah.
And as people start looking for the next game changer in the crypto space, and there will be always a game changer, and there will always be a next game changer, because that's just how software works.
Mm-hmm.
There's be the next Elon Musk. There's always going to be the next Steve Jobs. There's always going to be somebody more talented that comes along, more committed, more hardworking, more driven, more intellectually intelligent. As people start looking into those things, Epic has to be something that you just take a look at for no other reason, just to know that it exists, just to know that it's out there, just to know what other people will start talking about, and they will start talking about it. You will hear more and more and more people talk about Epic. And as they talk about it, and as they start tearing it apart and realizing all the pieces of the puzzle that are here, you're going to start seeing Epic become more and more popular. It solves a lot of the money problems. It solves a lot of the wealth problems. It solves a lot of the problems that exist in today's money. And it is superior money. It is exactly that. And it's all documented, and it has a team of very talented people inside of its community. And that's because the project itself is more than just a project. It's a game changer. It's literally to change the way people control their money. It'll give people back control of their money. And that in itself is the only value proposition that cryptocurrency should have. Give people back power and control of their money away from the third party evil motherfuckers that currently do have control of the money.
And how crazy is it, Chris? I mean, when you look back at your history with Bitcoin and you remember when you got the news that it was now trading at $156 and you're like, holy shit. Well, how crazy is it that with everything that you've shared today and all of your knowledge and experience, that Epic is trading at $1? I think I actually wrote it in when I'm working on with Mike Mumola. I'm like, when you think about Epic Cash being Bitcoin perfected, if you will, and I know that's lofty words, but to think about, you can get one Bitcoin for $30,000 and it has a $555 million market cap, or you could get 30,000 Epic Cash at $1 each, and we have a $15 million market cap. So to 10x your money in Epic, we just need to attract another $150 million.
Yeah, but listen, let me hold you up there.
Sure.
Everyone does that. Everyone gets caught up in it's worth $1 and it can go to the moon. Everyone gets caught up in that.
Okay.
Let's get caught up on the things that will drive it to the moon. Let's get caught up in the things that it does that are game changers for mankind.
Okay.
Focusing on the money gets people's attention focused on the wrong things in most cases and most projects. And that's why projects fail, because they attract people with the little carrot of, hey, Rich, if it goes from $1 to 10, you can make 10x your money. Here's the carrot, motherfuckers. Here's the carrot. Follow the Luna carrot. That's not the reason that people should get excited. Epic will change the way people control their own money. Epic will give people on a global basis better, superior money. That right there is the game. The fact that it goes from $1 to 10 to 1,000 to 30,000 to 60,000 in value.
Yeah.
All that is a byproduct of its core principles and its core values. And it's when people get focused on 10xing their money and 100xing money. The 10x and the 100x is because you were an evangelist. It's because you believed, and it's because you got involved because of the value of what Epic is. Right. The value of what Epic is there now, long before it'll ever 10x or 100x. The value is there today. Right. You either see the value in it today and the ability for it to change the way people control their own money, or you don't. It won't change in value until you understand its perceived value. And the perceived value is not the fact that it went from $1 to 10 to $100. The value is that it is going to change the way people control their money. It is superior money.
One last question for you, because I know it is close to your heart, but I like to say that we're not a privacy coin, but we are a coin that happens to be very, very private. How important is privacy in crypto these days?
So I was a huge fan. I'm still a huge fan of Monero. I've always thought Monero was what Satoshi wanted Bitcoin to become before some people got involved in it.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, privacy is more important to people today when it comes to their money and their control of their money than ever before. We're looking at the American Constitution being torn to shreds by independent individuals that control large entities like Facebook. Shout out to the scumbag Mark Zuckerberg. And,
love you.
Shout out to the scumbags that run Twitter too. And at the end of the day, if they can control what you're allowed to say, their next move is to be able to control where your money goes. And when the Canadian truckers recently took donations from average individuals, a barista at a coffee shop donated $50. That barista should never be outed. She should never be embarrassed. She should never have a TD bank account. By the way, shout out to TD Bank, you scumbag pieces of shit. I hope your bank burns to the ground. You should never have your money privacy taken away from you and used as a tool to cost you a job at a barista in a coffee shop, or cost you your bank account at a bank, which was a scumbag bank to begin with, run by scumbags. You should have that privacy, and you should be able to do what you want with your money, because that's what money is. It's your money. It's the people's money. And when it becomes the people's money again, is when the people will have more freedom. They will have more control of their own lives. They will have more say-so in the world around them than those that are the elites, the scumbag elites.
But Chris, if you have nothing to hide, why do you need privacy? That's the line they always give.
Just like the barista who lost her job for donating $50 to a cause that she believed in. She had nothing to hide, but she wanted her privacy so she didn't lose her job, because the woke crowd or the community of rabble raisers and torches came chasing after her like Frankenstein to burn her down. Yes. Hey, Frankenstein wasn't an evil monster. He was just a guy made of a bunch of parts. He just wanted to hang out and have some fun. But because he was different, they wanted to burn his fucking ass to the ground. Well, guess what? Different should not be one thing that people can go after you for. Different shouldn't be decided by what you decide to do with your money. We're all different. We're all different skin colors. We're all different beliefs. We're all different. So whatever we decide to do with our money, it's our money. And that's what privacy does, is it gives people power over their own beliefs again. It no longer makes them confined to the community of beliefs. And when we are confined to be part of the community beliefs is when we lose our independence. When we lose our independence, we will lose our greatness, because greatness comes from those people that are willing to step up in the face of tyranny, in the face of bad things, and speak out for those that no longer can speak out. It takes brave people, one or two brave people, to stand in front of that tank and say, no, you will not go any further. I will stand before you. You will not go any further. And if you remember Tiananmen Square, that was one guy in a country of over 1 billion citizens who stood in front of a large piece of metal that could have easily crushed him. And he was willing to say, listen, I am going to stand up for those that can't. I'm going to stand up for those that won't. I'm going to stand up for those that are too fearful to do that on their own. And that's what privacy is. Private people, the average person, more power over their own voice, over their own heart, over their own beliefs.
So if you're
get a motherfucking amen.
Amen. I'm building to it. So if your blockchain can be surveilled or confiscated, therein lies why privacy is so important. And Max, you always talk about one thing, and we'll end the show with this, except I do want to say that I'm not hiding anything when I go into a restroom in an airport, but I do close the door. So, I think most everybody else does too. So that's my response to somebody who says, well, if you're not hiding anything, why do you need privacy? Well, why do you close the door when you go to the restroom in a public airport? You tell me. Doesn't mean you're a bad person, doesn't mean you're hiding anything, but it's your right to be private. Max, you always educate us on one thing, that there's only one thing that we as a community, as a greater community, need to agree on. And I'll leave it up to you to finish that.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the World War I on Christmas Day, where they put down the rifles and played soccer with each other around the Christmas tree. So for those 24 hours or whatever it was, they decided to be normal people rather than trying to kill each other. During times of war, if you look at neutral countries like Switzerland or Uruguay, financial centers that have been able to be neutral and kind of keep out of that, they really prospered. And so the only thing that we need to agree on are the fundamental properties of what we want in our money. We want 21 million. We want censorship resistance, confiscation resistance, trust minimization, all that good stuff. And so because of that, Epic is really more than just a money system. It's almost like the most universal social network on the planet that could ever exist. Because if you look at TikTok and the Facebook conglomerate, they top out at about 3-4 billion users. They can't get more than about half of us because not everybody needs social media. But if you're a human alive, even if you're living in the depths of the rainforest, you still need to economically interact with others. We're all connected in that way. And so Epic is the first network of any form that has the ability to connect all of us. And I would say that even goes beyond the internet itself, because we know how to make the ethereal realm concept of Epic instantiated in the physical world through things like polymer, banknote currency, bills. There's a place out of Switzerland that knows how to print those. Or if you remember the old Cascacious coins, to be able to integrate precious metals. Imagine an ounce of silver that has Epic baked inside, and zombie apocalypse comes, you can melt the silver out, but you also have the Epic in there. There's all kinds of stuff that we can do. And so because of that, people who disagree on everything else, vax, anti-vax, politics, we only have to agree on one very narrow issue. We can be single issue voters on that, and find a source of strength, and not let anything divide us.
Amen. Well, I am going to end this by saying, gentlemen, Chris, Mike Mumola, Max, I feel personally, after doing hundreds, if not thousands of hours of live streaming, that this is the best live stream we've had yet. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So thank you for adding such great value, gentlemen. Thank you, everyone in the chat. I can't wait to, I never rewatch these things. Sometimes I'll listen to them, but this time I'm going to rewatch it so that I can enjoy everybody's comments in the chat as they go along. I've never done that, as a matter of fact. So thank you, everyone. I wish you a great rest of the weekend. Those of you who are in the US, Memorial Day weekend. And we'll pick it back up on Wednesday morning with Crypto Coffee with Todd Lewis. All right, everyone. Chris, Mike, Max, thank you in the chat. Cheers. Bye-bye.